La 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 la. La 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 la.
Here's still. Oh, hello there. Get the out of here, Teddy. Okay, so here today, welcome to Smart Stuff with Chase. Today we're going to learn about the genetics of depression. I know depression genetics doesn't really sound very normal, but hey, first we're going to learn about what genetics are from. See, my genetics come from two people. Here, I'll teach you. I'll show you. First we have my mom, and then we have my dad. I'm starting to think I have more than one reason to be depressed here. Just because a person inherits a gene that predisposes him or her to a depressive illness does not mean that he or she is destined to develop a major depression or bipolar disorder. It is believed that genetic influence is only partially responsible for causing depression. So, yeah, the genetics of depression. It has long been known that depressive illnesses can run in families. But until fairly recently, it is not fully known whether people inherited a susceptibility to these illnesses or something else, such as the environment was the true culprit. Those who research depression have been able to determine that to some extent depressive illnesses are inherited. What appears to be inherited is a vulnerability to depression. This means that we have close relatives who have clinical depression. We may inherit a tendency to develop the illness. It does not mean that we are destined to become depressed. Genes we inherit from our parents determine many things, such as our gender, there's only two of them, and the color of our eyes and hair. Our genes also determine which illness we may be vulnerable at some point in our lives. Every cell in the human body contains somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 genes, which are made up of something called, I'm too stupid to say that, DNA. Genes are located on chromosomes within the nucleus of each cell. All the cells except sex cells contain 46 chromosomes. Put the chromosomes in the bag. All genes are typically located in a specific place on a particular chromosome, except for identical twins. No two people in the world have the exact same genetic makeup. Researchers on the heredity of depression within families show that individuals are more likely to develop illness than others. If you have a parent or sibling that has had major depression, you may be about 1.5 to 3 times more likely to develop the condition. Twin studies. Much of what we know about the genetic influence of clinical depression is based upon researchers that have been done with identical twins. Identical twins are very helpful to researchers since they both have the exact same genetic code. It has been found that when one identical twin becomes depressed, the other will also develop clinical depression approximately 76% of the time. When identical twins are raised apart from each other, they will become depressed about 67% of the time. Well, for me, I was supposed to have a twin, but it passed away in my mother's womb, and it was really sad, and that might be a reason why I'm depressed, because we were raised apart. Well, actually, he wasn't raised at all. Okay, because both twins become depressed at such a high rate, the implication is that there's a strong genetic influence. If it happened that one of the twin becomes clinically depressed, the other always develops depression. Then clinical depression would likely be entirely genetic. However, the rate of both identical twins developing depression is not closer to 100%. This tells us that there are other things that influence a person's vulnerability to depression. These may include environmental factors such as childhood experiences, current stressors, traumatic events, also known as PTSD, exposure to substances, medical illness, etc. Yeah. Research has also been done with fraternal twins. Unlike identical twins who have the same genetic code, these siblings are only about 50% of the genetic makeup that do not necessarily look alike. Studies have shown that when one fraternal twin becomes depressed, the other also develops depression about 90% of the time. This is still a higher rate of depression when compared to overall rates of general public again, pointing towards the genetic influence in the development of clinical depression.
You ready?
I was born ready, but my twin wasn't. Okay, a gene for depression. Research on the genetic causes of clinical depression has attempted to identify one more specific genes that may lead to the development of depressive illnesses, although there have been a number of studies that appear on a name a particular gene as the next page of my upside down book. The gene culprit. There has been little consistency amongst their rules. However, the outcome of some research has suggested that be specific genes that cause clinical depression to develop within certain families and not in others. At this time, there is much that we do not know about genes that may predispose a person's depressive illness. Research has yet to identify a clear link between a specific gene and a vulnerability to depression in everyone. Rather than the possibility of only a single gene being responsible for the development of clinical depression, it appears that more likely that a number of genes acting together may cause a person to become vulnerable to depression. Just because a person inherits a gene that predisposes him or her to a depressive illness, it does not mean that he or she is destined to develop major depression or bipolar disorder. It is believed that genetic influence is only partially the rule for causing depression. Other factors may play as a role. After reading all that basically, the genetics of depression, they don't really know if genes have anything to do with depression.